Gemini Sun and Rising. Welcome to your May 2023 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, May is a month that is jam-packed, This is going to be the third month in a row where there's a lot happening. Of course, in April, there is the beginning of the eclipse season. I'm recording this before, not too long, almost like a week before the eclipse in Aries, and then there's going to be an eclipse in May. So this, you could call it like a portal. This period of late April going into May is very potent for change. Now, the change may appear to be coming from the outer realm. In other words, it can feel like you don't have control of things because it's coming from outside of you, when in fact, it could very well be your higher self directing the show. Because these are fated moments. And obviously this is, yet another theory that we plan important events in our life before the fact, and then we live them out. Some people think that makes us victims of fate. No, because we have free will. Our souls are determining what things happen to us. It just appears that it is random because we're in the state of amnesia. We don't remember planning it out, But anyway, the eclipses serve as the trigger points for these fated events. Or you could say that's a theory. I don't want to state anything as a fact, obviously. But anyway, so it continues in the month of May. So just to recap a little bit, even though this hasn't occurred in April for me yet when I'm recording this, the eclipse in April 19th to 20th, is in the sign of Aries at almost 0 degrees of Taurus, actually. So it is for you at the tail end of the 11th house, but, on the cusp of the 12th house of the, unconscious mind and karmic baggage and things like that. So this might be felt more as a 12th house eclipse. But because it is at the 29th degree of Aries, maybe this is going to activate some of your dreams. I almost feel like this is some kind of like a lunar eclipse, in the sense that this is supposed to be like a powerful new moon. But the full moon periods bring the harvest, whereas the initiation is with the new moon. So I almost feel like this is a full moon, like bringing things to fruition in the grandest sort of ways. So who knows, maybe some of your long hoped for dreams come true for you during this time. And the fact that it is on the cusp of the 12th gives it that extra karmic touch, or, you could even say lucky touch, because Jupiter was the ancient ruler of Pisces. So it, would ostensibly be the ruler of the 12th in, back in the day. So the luck angle could also be coming into play as well. So, and I will talk about the lunar eclipse in Scorpio in just a minute, but I did want to bring up that on the 1st of May, we have Pluto going retrograde. So Pluto did not get very far at all from March until the 1st of May. It was basically in Aquarius for 5 weeks, but it only got up to 0 degrees and 22 minutes of Aquarius. So Aquarius is an air sign like you, and Aquarius rules the ninth house of the higher mind, long distance travel, God. And so, because it's at 0 degrees, it probably is still in your eighth house. Okay. And it will go back into Capricorn, I believe, around June 11th. So, for all practical purposes, it's going retrograde in your eighth house. So, let's talk about that retrograde. This is Pluto is one of the rulers, along with Mars, of the eighth house. And so, when you have Pluto going retrograde in its own house, this is big time shadow work. Now, when it is direct, you may experience the Plutonic influence or transit in an outward way through events, people, places, things that are coming into your reality. And this is really about going within yourself, or this is going to be that it's all about you. So it's turning it inward. And this can be for Gemini individuals. I'm speaking specifically of the sun signs because you could have Gemini rising and your sun sign might be Scorpio. And you might be very well versed in shadow work. But I think for the average Gemini person, unless you have the moon in Scorpio or something like that, or if you have the sun in the eighth house, maybe, you understand what I'm going to say, is that it may be something that is quite foreign to you or daunting or disagreeable, distasteful to you to, deal with heavier, darker emotions. This isn't something that Gemini people really want to do because you're an air sign. You want to be above it all. And you know what? I think that is really a good idea, to be honest with you. I do not believe in wallowing in heavy emotions. I believe in facing everything head on, but I don't believe in wallowing in anything. And sometimes people do enjoy doing that. Even people who claim that they are suffering. I think sometimes people get off on their own suffering. I know, and I don't mean that across the board, but I mean people who who identify as victims. Not people who are victims. A lot of people are victims, but some people build their identity around that. And those are the people that can really go on the dark side and really kind of derive this kind of twisted pleasure from it because it validates, it kind of heightens their sense of it almost like being the martyr, if you will. Kind of like what the 12th house represents. The 8th and the 12th houses have similarities, but they do have differences. That is not what shadow work is. Shadow work is about identifying parts of ourselves that are divorced from the rest of ourselves and that we kind of do not want to acknowledge. And we do this in order to become whole again. And trauma can kind of fragment people, for instance. And this is why you see some people who they appear to be very kind, and yet they have a what we would call like a dark side that may not show up in many times when you would see them, but or even like if you hear about somebody on the news and people said, oh, but they were so quiet or they were so whatever because they had this good side to them, or just somebody that you think is this love and light person and they have this other secret life, or just this other personality that can come out. Maybe when they drink, they get mean, in other words. That is the shadow. Yes, of course, alcohol is enabling it, but it's not coming from nowhere. There is that pain body that kind of flares up during certain things that happen. So I'm just preparing you for this because you may fight it. And if you embrace it, if you embrace meditation, Gemini people love to go from one thing to the other mentally. I'm not a Gemini, I'm a Sag, but I have Sag Mercury, same deal in a lot of ways. And, we people who do this, we have to learn how to kind of center ourselves and unplug from all of that. And that will be more than half of the battle when you're trying to get in touch with those parts. Okay, so this is the big event that we're talking about in the month of May. So on the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo, we have a lunar eclipse at 14 degrees of Scorpio. Now, it's interesting because I just thought about this right now, that the number 14 is, you can reduce it to 5, and that could be connected to Mercury. So given that we're talking here about a lunar eclipse, and we're talking about which is a powerful full moon, and in Scorpio, at any full moon, there could be secrets revealed. So imagine that kind of influence times 3. Imagine it in the sign of Scorpio, which is all about secrets. It really kind of tends to run in this idea of some kind of major reveal, some kind of major revelations. Now, that could be for the collective, but you're ruled by Mercury. So this has significance for you on that level. Now, where this is falling for you, Gemini, is the 6th house of work or service to others, also your health. And you may find that if you have been wanting to walk away from your job, you may do so. You may just decide one day, I'm done, and it's done. It's over with. Is it possible that you will not be working someplace and you are not wanting to quit that job? Anything is possible. What they call it is things being eclipsed out of your life. This is one of those things. Now, this is going to be true for all of us, no matter what the transit is, no matter what our sign is that we are in times that are unprecedented. And we have to be able to go with the flow. Luckily for Gemini, you are a mutable air sign. So you have an air of detachment, pardon the pun, air. You're already, rather detached, typically. So you don't tend to get worked up about things, although I do think that, Gemini people have nervous energy, and maybe anxiety or overthinking is something that always tends to be your bugaboo. But other than that, I think that you are adaptable for sure. And there's gonna, there already is. I mean, I really don't want to go into it because I don't want to go into that lower vibration and fear-based discussions, but you can see around you little things, kind of, maybe you've even read news articles about predictions about what is going to happen, or energy readers, truthers, whatever, whoever you follow, talking about things, kind of like the shape of things to come. And I just got a taste of that myself, that have kind of gotten me thinking. But if you can observe those things and still stay above the fray, it's all good. So even if a job was eclipsed out of your life, it ultimately is for your highest good. And for some of you, this may not even be in your sixth house. Perhaps it's in your fifth house. I don't want to get fancy with that, and I don't want to talk about that. I'm going to pretend everybody is having it in their sixth house. So, another thing that is possible is that you get some kind of promotion. So, and I think that could even include a raise, even though, because Scorpio does connect to the house of money that comes from other people. So the bottom line with any of these eclipses, solar or lunar, is to go with the flow. Do not, and that doesn't mean being passive in the sense that you don't try to make anything happen, but you don't cling to things that are changing. If things change, accept the fact that it's probably for your highest good. On the 7th, but it could be some kind of revelation at work if you've been having any kind of negative dealings in the office place. On the 7th, Venus goes into Cancer, and this for you is your second house of earned income. So this is only 2 days after the eclipse. Oh, and it's important to note that the eclipse does not necessarily mean that the date that I gave you is when everything's going to go down. Okay. Even in April, some people may experience some of these changes, at least starting the ball rolling, and even beyond May. So Venus in your second house, right after that eclipse, certainly could point to some people getting a raise. Because, Venus in the second house is Venus in the house that it rules, which is the house of earned income. You may be buying a high-ticket item. Maybe now you feel like you have enough money to buy something that you've been wanting to buy that is a luxury item, or, costs a pretty penny, as they say. On the 14th, Mercury goes direct at 5 degrees, almost 6 degrees of Taurus. That's your ruler. So up until mid-May, your ruler, Mercury, is retrograde. I didn't even, really bring that up. And this Gemini has been in your 12th house. So this is a little bit tough because, this is probably going to be the first half of the month for Gemini people is probably going to be pretty intense psychologically, because you have Pluto retrograding in the 8th and Mercury's retrograding in the 12th. So, the thing is, that's why if you're listening in April, starting a meditation routine would be awesome, because you've got this. This is going to make you more intuitive, more intentional. So you're less impulsive and more intentional about what you're doing. It's all good. So now it's going direct. And that's good as well, because when it's retrograding, you're doing that soul searching, but it can be very in some cases, if you know that you have messed up, you may feel like really like you might be hard on yourself. So, definitely be gentle. But I think for all of us, when we get like on the 16th, Jupiter's going into Taurus, okay? So I think that's when things are going to start to turn around more because, Mercury is going direct and then Jupiter goes into Taurus a couple days after that. And Jupiter, again, in Taurus, as your 12th house. So this could be some kind of, good luck that is kind of karmic in nature. Maybe it's time for you to kind of get some kind of, gift from the universe or something that was unexpected because you are, that was something that was meant for you to have. Also, anything to do with travel. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, as I stated. So it has some connection to that 12th. And that could enhance that what we typically talk about with the 9th house when it comes to expansion, like travel. But this is going to be a year-long transit until May of 2024. On the 19th, we have a new moon in that 12th house. So this is really emphasizing this spiritual area for you, Gemini. And I mean, even this new moon is very close to your cusp of, Gemini, because it's at 28 degrees. But what do you want to birth? This is the womb of creation. Be intentional. These are all in Taurus. The Mercury retrograde was in Taurus. This is all about the spiritual, but it can be, how do we manifest from the spiritual into the physical, which the first house would represent. So plant seeds of intention and don't think, oh, well, this is the 12th house. This isn't going to manifest in the physical. No. First of all, like I said, it's very close to your first house, cusp. And it also is in Taurus, which is an earth sign, so it makes it very tangible. But everything starts out in, the higher dimensions to be brought down here. On the 20th, Mars goes into Leo. Leo for you is the 3rd house, and that is the house that you rule. So Mars here is, right where, you excel. You could be very communicative. Maybe watch your words because you might be a little bit combative verbally for whatever reason. Watch out for any fights with siblings, the 3rd house, or neighbors. These areas are connected to the 3rd house. But if you have a writing project, you're going to be gung-ho. Any internet projects, social media, this is on fire for you. On the 21st, the sun goes into your sign. And this is your solar return. Happy birthday to those Geminis born in the month of May. You should start to feel more energetic, having the sun now crossing over into your sign. All right, Gemini, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.